Today was supposed to be a simple maintenance day on a customer-owned DJI T40 agriculture drone. Instead, it went totally sideways. To start with, I snapped off this screw inside the motor mount, busted open the foam motor cover, and did a couple of other things that took what was a relatively simple maintenance day and turned it into a never-ending project. Join me in this T40 maintenance video, and hopefully I can save you some time by avoiding the mistakes that I made. A couple of items that we need to address are changing the spray lines that were kinked and restricting flow when spraying. Also the spray lance that hangs down from below the motor. These plastic nuts notoriously fail and they become unthreaded and just dangle. Another item was the spreader gate. So that's delaminating, and that gets fertilizer or seed stuck, which means that there's product leaking while you're flying. A couple of other little items, some error codes on the remote that we'll address, and then we'll just do a deep clean and an inspection to make sure that everything's airworthy so that when spring comes, the drone is ready to go. So let's get started. Okay, I've got the spreader removed from the bottom of the spreading tank and disassembled. Here's all of the screws. So this is the fixed unit, and it's got some damage. So you can see here it's peeling. Here's a good. So because that peels, when the spreader disc closes, it doesn't fully close. So seed or fertilizer can still make its way out. So I've got a new one of those that I'm gonna replace. This is the gate, and then this is the unit. So the unit is very well used. You can see there's a lot of residue and material left over. So I've got a little steam unit here that I'm gonna use to clean that up, and I don't want to get any water in the plug, so I've got my plug taped off, and all right, here we go. It's not so hot that I burned my hands, so here now this is all cleaned up and ready to go back in. So now I'm gonna do this unit here. Go back and reassemble all of the parts. Okay, so attaching one of the inner frame pieces back to the frame, 3 screws, all using Loctite. Having a look again here at the old gate that was showing signs of delamination, and that will be replaced with a new gate. Now, let's see if you can notice the difference between the two gates that I did not notice until I had it back together. Replacing or taking out the drive shaft from the old gate, putting it in the new gate, and then that goes into the frame. Now this plastic part needs to twist about 30 or 40 degrees to lock into place. And then finally that's secured with a screw. Okay, well that took a long time. And that was probably the hardest thing, was getting that disc back in. So next we need to put the motorized gate. So when I took it off, I used one of these little pens to mark it, but there's a little notch here and there's a little notch on the gear. So you want to put that in and line the teeth up with that. And then when this gear opens, now it's going to open. So here's where I start to figure out what's gone wrong. As I'm manipulating this gate, opening and closing it, I'm trying to verify that it's a solid seal between the gate and the rotating disc so that no product leaks out. But you can see a gap in between there, and well, I think you can figure out the rest from there. All right. Big mistake. Well, not really a big mistake, but what is delaminating here is not actually this plastic piece, but there is a piece of foam when this gate closes. Then it doesn't close all the way and it lets material out through there. So what they need is this, although I don't know how you even get that off. All right, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board. That was really frustrating. Yeah, so the problem was that the piece that I got new from our distributor, it didn't have, I don't know if you can see, but there's little pieces of foam. There's little pieces of foam. It didn't have that on it, and without that on it, the gate won't close properly. And so then if you're flying with a full load, you're going to be leaking seed or fertilizer in and out of the field. So I had two ideas. One was the T40. So I thought I would open up the T40 spreader, which we have, and see what they've done with that, and to see if it's any different. And it's not. It's exactly the same as this. And this material just fails. So I don't know, I just feel bad putting the same stuff on our customers' drones. So I thought, okay, there's got to be a better solution. So what I did was I went to a couple of places searching for some thin rubber matting, and then also I have some alien tape. So my fix for this is alien tape and then some thin pieces of rubber that won't delaminate. So I've had a little bit of arts and crafts. I measured out 3 of these pie-shaped guys, and then I've put magic tape in here. So the next step now is to glue these pieces into place like that. Line that up. Okay, let's see. Happy with that, yep. to line up these marks here. Put the clip back in. This can also be bugger if you don't have the right tools. Okay, good, that's clipped into place. Now, I want to make sure this moves freely. And I think we have a winner. Comes this into place. And then we need our little tiny 1.5. We've got a couple of little set screws in here to tighten. There's one on that side and one on that side, and that keeps that from coming off. Okay, what's next? That's all done. So now we can put this back on. So of course this has a little indent here, so we'll line that up. Okay, there's one clip. There's two clips. 3 clips, 4 clips. So this piece here is flexible, whereas on the new T40s, it is not. And there's closed, and it's not holding up at all, nice and smooth. Okay, I got a couple of pieces left, so this needs to go on. Like that. And then that. And this is an opposite thread. Okay, that goes in. And then that little guy goes on. Whoops, don't lose that. I didn't want any moisture to get in. Oh, okay, that's done. Okay, and I had some paper towel, and okay, maybe it's overkill. More tape. Really don't want to get any water in here. So that's it for the spreading tank. It's all cleaned up. We replaced the parts that we need to, and it's ready to be tested, which we'll do later this week. So if you have a DJI Agras, an agriculture drone, and you need service, or if you have a farm and you need custom application, or if you want to buy a drone, head to our website, landrone.ca, and give us a call. We'd be happy to help you. Okay, I got the lid off, so I'm just going to clean everything out here, get some water in. So you can see the filter at the bottom, and then there's a sensor there that we've got to make sure is in the right position, and I think that might have something to do with the point Hall error. Okay, so after diagnosing, I filled the tank up with water. The number one side worked good, RPM and flow out of the sprinkler. the number 2 side, we had RPM and the pump was making noise and moving, vibrating, but there was no fluid coming out of the number 2 sprinkler. So there's either a block somewhere in the system, or it could be that there's a kink in the line. The customer mentioned last year when they had maintenance done, not from us, I will add, but when they had maintenance done, there was a kink in the line. So that might be part of the problem. So I got to pull the spray tank out, take both of the pumps apart, inspect and clean, and then I've got to pull the spray lines out of the arms and take the sprinklers off. The sprinklers are loose. They're not attached very well. So there's an upgraded part that I'm going to replace on that so that the sprinklers are solidly mounted to the bottom of the motors. So let's get going. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get these bands off that hold the pumps in. Problem, I have an answer for you. Whisker by screw. I don't have a choice if I want to check everything. Get this line out. Pull this out. Get this line off. Oh, okay, good. Okay. Now this has a little pump 2 on it, and this one has a little pump 1 on it. So I have my little marker. Just gonna write a little 2 there. There we go. So again, this is pump number 2, where we had RPM but no flow, and pump number 1 we had RPM and flow. But we just want to open both of them up, make sure the impellers are good, and then we'll put them back together. There we go. Three screws out and the top part of the pump pulls off, and that exposes 2 O-rings and the magnet that is attached to the motor. So I cleaned that up, and I had to actually put it back together because I wanted to verify the condition of the impeller, and that's a twist to unlock. And I needed to use the plumber's wrench because it was really I mean, that thing was together. Ultimately, I got it off and cleaned the unit up and pulled the impeller out, had a look at it, and no problems there, no blockages. So this wasn't the reason that I wasn't getting any liquid out of that number 2 sprayer. So trying to get it back together here so that we can move on to the next pump, and that was a struggle. I spent probably 2 hours and still have not got it back together at this point. Okay, I went out to the store and got myself some dielectric silicone compound. So I'm going to put a little bit of that around here and see if that helps this O-ring. See if that grease helps this go back together. Of course not. Okay, like I've had it. This should not be so difficult. No matter what I tried, I could not get this back together. I tried removing the impeller and then putting it back together. I tried removing the O-rings and putting it back together. And in that case, it went back together. So clearly, to me, the problem was the O-ring and the O-ring fitting within the plastic housing. So with that knowledge, I decided to move on. So we're going to install this plate. So there is a little, there's a little groove here, and there's a little groove on the plate. So that goes on like that. Good. And then same for the other one. So we find that little mark, line that up. Now we got to put the screws back into the housing. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on them. This is a pump, so we want to make sure that those don't come undone. There's a little arrow right there. So we're going to put this line down on that arrow. And then it's kind of sharp edges, so kind of got to push and then turn. And now we've got these lined up. So that's all locked into place, and that's good to go. Undo this filter access. Have a look in the bottom and make sure everything's groovy. Okay, so she's a little dirty, so we'll clean that up. Inside the spray tank, there's a float switch, and so when liquid gets put into the tank, or when there's liquid in the tank, then that switch floats to an up position. the other half of that float switch, there's a sensor, and that sensor needs to talk to the liquid level sensor, which is that black part underneath the tank. That white plastic nut, I think, thread is stripped, and so when liquid gets put in, it moves that sensor, and that's what gives us the point Hall liquid error. There we go. Now we got one side on and we know how to do it. Although the first side's probably easier. Okay, I think that's in. Okay. All right. That is job complete. Continuing our annual maintenance, and I've got to fix or replace the spray lines that run through the arms. I don't know if you can see in there, but right there you can see that it's kinked, and so I think that line might be split. So we're going to replace that, and while we're replacing that line, we're also going to replace this line. Notoriously with the T40, you have the spray lance that just kind of sits there. So this fixing nut is made out of plastic, and so I have some newer upgraded metal fixing nuts in this shaft, so we're going to fix those two things today. So I thought, how cool, I can use some power tools, make everything quicker. And the result was I snapped the first screw. So I'm hoping that I can have access to the stud. Yeah, other than that, I got to figure out how to get the bottom of it out. And I think I'll just be using hand tools. Can I have any luck? Broken. This is just not my day. I don't know how I'm even going to get that out. Okay, this is no longer fun. I'm going to need to do some thinking here. The broken bolt is right in there. So it's so tiny, I don't think I can use an easy out. Although I have been recommended a glue stick, but it wasn't even loose, so I don't know how that's going to work. And maybe a left-handed drill bit. I mean, working on it in this state is easy, but I don't know. So, looking further at this, this is a mount. So the upper and lower motors mount here. So if I undo this, so these 6 on this side and another 6 on the other side, I can drop the lower motor without having to disconnect it or disconnect it from the mounts or disconnect the propellers. And I should be able to do the same on this side. So I've got six bolts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that would allow me then to lift the top mount as one piece with the propeller and everything as one. And then I can either try and get that little stud out. I'm going to have to buy a new bolt, and I'm going to have to buy a new motor cover anyways, because this motor cover is now in pieces. It snapped. I mean, this styrofoam does not age well. I guess I was careful. But in any event, I was using this power screwdriver, and I hate to admit it, but I might have had it in forward. I don't know if that mode switched when I put it down. So, you know, I don't see any Loctite or anything on there. None of the other 3 bolts really look that corroded. There's a little bit of something on that one, but those screws, hex bolts, whatever you want to call them, they look all right. So this feels like it was avoidable. Totally avoidable. Seems to be a case of me making more work for myself, but I think I get those 6 bolts out, I get that mount off, and then either I can get the screw out or I buy another one. I don't think they're really expensive. I mean, I don't want to buy stuff that I don't have to, but I think they're probably around $50 or something. And I'm going to have to order some other parts in that I don't have. So yeah, so I'm going to undo those 6 bolts by hand, and then once we get everything apart, then I'll have a better idea of what I can do. Okay, now this is M4, M1, M2, M3, M4. So M4 up. These generally just have one way to go on anyways. As you can see, here is the spray line and a connector. And that's to control the atomizer and to send fluid down. So that goes down into there. So once I release these things, this motor is still going to hang with the propeller. So I'm going to have to disconnect these things. And I'm going to have to disconnect this anyways, because I need to fix this nut. So This is just happening before I had really planned for it. So let's get these undone. Okay, that's that one off. And that's that one off. And we'll keep these together so that I don't lose them. And now, oh, that just came right off. Well, that's convenient. Okay, that's what was throwing me for a loop. Okay. Okay. Now this, again, we have to label. This is off of M4. Okay, M4, you've been labeled. I was frustrated at the situation, but did that soft aluminum motor mount really need to be whacked with a hardened steel crescent wrench? Not my best move. I should have used a wooden block in between the two or a mallet. I always say it's fine to make a mistake once, but the whole goal is to learn. And learn did I, because M3 came off without a hitch. No broken screws, no broken cover, and the spray lance came disconnected perfectly. Okay, so I've got parts and pieces on order, and while I'm waiting for those to come in, I'm going to continue doing what I can, which is really just cleaning and checking for any other areas that need repair. So I've started to clean this area, which you can see looks pretty nice. And now if we look at this area, this is a well-used drone. We got seeds everywhere. So I'm just going to go through with a cloth and clean that up. The other thing that I'm going to deal with is this rear cover. So if I remove the rear cover, we can see again this drone has really been well utilized, which it should just come out like this. That much out of here, so this is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'll just get a cloth and a bucket of water and I'll tackle it. Next time you see this, it should look a lot better. They sent this out to us over the Christmas holidays. All right. Okay, I think we'll just move this over here. Okay, so first thing we got are two motor covers. The most waited for item here is the motor fixing base. Excellent. What else did we get? We got some new sleeves. Then we also got, a new cover, a new lower rear cover. What else? It's like Christmas after Christmas. Okay, so this is the upper cover. And a whole bunch of spare screws, which I just wanted to have on hand for random repairs. And when you take these things apart and put them back together, the heads of the screws can get stripped, or they come with Loctite on them, and that can get them kind of stuck. And then also some clips that go in the covers. All right. Okay, well, this is the main part that I need to replace that's been holding me up, and that's the motor fixing base. It looks a little bit different. The thickness, I mean, it doesn't look to be as sturdy as this other one. And hold on a second. Oh my God. Okay, so these arms at the top are different. This is not the same. Oh my goodness. I'm back to square one. Well, I gotta call Sky Drones, and hopefully there's an explanation for this. Because without it, I am stuck and I cannot get this drone back together. So the feet are going this way, so they're alternating. Whereas these feet or claws are going the same way. So we can see in more detail. Same. Even more interesting is that's smooth. That's smooth. That's smooth. That's smooth. But here there's a little, really hard to see, but there's a little ridge. There's a little ridge right there. These three don't have the ridge. This one has the ridge. And then when we look at the mount, we can see in the back here, there's one little area that's got a ridge. So I have to give it to DJI. There is no wrong way of putting this back together. Okay, let's call. Hi, yeah, it's Thomas from Landrone. So I received the package. Thanks for sending that out so quickly. But I'm just here looking at the motor fixing bases. And the one that you sent me is not the same as the one that I took off the drone. That's the only one you have, eh? Can you look and see, is there any documentation about DJI maybe having multiple different types of motor mounts? Or, I mean, there's got to be some kind of a solution here. I don't know. Maybe this is an old one or a new one. Yeah? Okay, great. Yeah, standing by. Thanks. Okay, so that's the only motor mount that Skydrones has in stock. They're going to have a look and get back to me and see if DJI's got another motor fixing base. They must. There has to be an answer to this, because right now I'm stuck, and this is a really important customer of ours, and I have to find a solution. So Skydrone sent over a document from DJI detailing what they've got going on. And there's really, we can break it down into 4. This is before, and then this is after. So before, they have an M4 and an M5. These are both integrated mounts, and we have an integrated mount. So we have a before M5, we have this mount. They sent us the before M4 integrated mount, integrated base. The new ones have separate, an upper and a lower, and that's for an M4, and then they've got an upper and a lower for an M5. Now, the other thing they changed is the arm. So they changed the arm to have a plastic piece on the end where the upper and lower mount to, and that plastic piece is not on these arms. So if I was to use the upper and lower mounting, the new ones, then I would need to also replace the arm. And that's just not going to happen. So I've got a part number now for this, and so I'm going to search and hopefully find an old M5 motor fixing base. Armed with my new knowledge of motor fixing bases for the T40, I got online to find other dealers in Canada that might have the part that I needed in stock. And I did find a lot of motor fixing bases, but they were a lot of the new 2-piece style and a lot of the old M4 mount, but no M5 integrated fixing motor bases. Another roadblock. Okay, so I didn't have any luck finding the old M5 integrated claws the same way motor fixing base. So I thought, now that it's become so difficult, maybe I need to go to a machine shop, and maybe they can drill out this stud, this broken screw that's in there. And you know, I keep looking at it, and it's not a structural part. It's a screw that holds on the foam cover. And it seems kind of like, I don't know, a waste of time. It's not structural. I could just pop the cover on, put the other 3 screws in, but I don't know. This is a new business for us, and just feels wrong to return something back to a customer in worse shape than they gave it to us. So as much time, effort, and money as this is taking, there's 1,000 wrong ways to do it, and there's really only one right way to do it. And that's to give it back to the customer in the same or better condition than they delivered it to us. So I went to a machine shop. They said it's too small, they can't do it. But what they did recommend was that I get a left-handed drill bit, a really small one, like 1/16, and then try myself. And my concern is just that it's so small that the drill bit's gonna come off of the screw and into the aluminum and destroy the thread. But I got to get this stud out because I can't seem to find another one of these. So here we go. Needless to say, the pressure is on. This is the only fixing base that I can use to get this drone back together. So if I make a mistake, I could render this base unusable, which would mean I don't know how I'd get this drone back together. I'd be buying new arms, and it could just really go downhill from here. So armed with a small left-hand drill bit, a center punch, and a lot of misplaced confidence, here I go. I banged the center point on the screw, and I don't know if I captured it or not, but I grabbed my drill with the left-handed drill bit and I started drilling. And wouldn't you know it, seconds in to drilling, the drill bit slipped off of the screw and into that soft aluminum. My worst fears realized. Today is a new day. I went to bed pretty dejected last night. Didn't have a solution. Got up this morning and went back online, and I thought, okay, if anybody's got this, it's got to be one of the two big guys in the US, New Way Ag or Agras Spray drones. So I got on the phone, and New Way Ag had the right one, but they had also broken off screws for the foam motor cover in the one that they had, but they have more coming in. And so I also called Agras Spray, and wouldn't you know it, they have the part that I need. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Until I get it in my hands, I'm not going to do the victory dance, but it looks like we have a solution. So I feel so much better today. And so I've got that part ordered, and once it gets in, we're going to open it up, and fingers crossed it's the right one, because if it is, then we can get this drone back together and get it back to our customer. Okay, look what I've got here. I've got a package from Agras Spray Drones, and I just hope it's the right part. Okay, let's get this thing unboxed. Okay, I've got the old one for reference. All right, nicely packaged. And here it is. Oh my God, look at that. It is a thing. It is a thing of beauty. Exactly the same. Okay, so there's a tab where I've got this little pink mark lined up. And then on the actual unit itself, there's a tab, so there's only one way for this to go on. Okay, this is where it all turns around and we start going downhill instead of uphill. Getting this on was tough, but instead of using a crescent wrench, I grabbed for the mallet. That's right, I learned my lesson. Once we get the motor fixing base into place, it's Loctite on the screws. Get that base nice and tight on the arm. We don't want that coming loose, especially not mid-flight. And then the lower motor goes on, and once that's on, it's just putting the screws back in. So I'll fast forward through this because putting it back together is just the reverse of taking it all apart. Okay, and that's the upper, the motor mount, the lower. Everything is back to the way it was. Okay, the next thing we're going to tackle is the sprinkler. So this is the sprinkler arm. The sprinkler just hangs off the bottom of the motor like this, which is not good. It doesn't spray properly, and then it's just also like a random thing hanging off the bottom of the drone. So that is what the unit looks like together. What I've done is I've removed this piece, which is an integral piece, and it sat on this arm like that. And the replacement is a 3-piece. So this is gonna pop onto that, and this is gonna pop into here, and this is gonna come up and lock it into place. So this is actually made of metal. So this is plastic, the old one. The new one is gonna be metal. And so that's gonna stay physically attached to the motor. This direction. So we'll put that on, and then we'll have to clip that down there. And then this piece, so it's got a little knob there that's gonna fit into here. So we'll have to get that piece through. And then we'll have to get that through. Come on now. Okay, now that little notch is going to click into there. Okay, and then okay, that's not working. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then that's going to screw up into there, which locks that into place. So that's the new one, that's the old one, so those look good. Now we've just got to pop the this nut So that's going to go through this metal portion. And then, I'm not sure how much force. It seems like once this goes on, it's not coming off. So I better make sure that there's no little tricks here. So there is a little line in here. So I think this line here is going to sit above here. So it's really just popping it through. Famous last words. Okay. Huh. Okay, so then this is going to go back onto the motor. I've got to put this little ring over top of there. Okay. There you go. Is that in? Are you in? Yeah, I think you're in. Okay. So there it is. Huh. That's tight. Yeah, so that just screws in. Okay. Okay, so after getting the T40 all buttoned up, I put the spray tank in and I tested out the sprayers. So the spray tank's in. As we left it, we got all of the spray lines connected, new spray lines connected. And so I wanted to do a leak test. So this sprinkler was good, but this atomizer is dripping, and overnight it's dripped that amount of liquid. So the other place that we're leaking a little bit is right here from the number 2 pump. So you can see right there, there's a little drip. So I've had that apart, and that's what we dripped overnight. So there's an O-ring definitely in there. So I've got that on order. Everything else looks really good. So today, the other complaint that we had is this case. It doesn't stay sealed, so you can pop it back together, but it just keeps coming open, and you can see in here there's a gap. And what happens is all of this dirt and stuff that you see from all of the seeding and fertilizing, that gets in here, and all of the cables connect in there. So we want to keep that area clean. Okay, so I've got the top cover off. Now it's time to get the bottom cover off, and then I've got to have a look and see if I can identify exactly what the problem is, get these clips off and get them moved over to the new unit. So right there, that piece of plastic right there is broken. And it should look like that, which is not broken. And this piece, I don't know, the screw is stripped. And not only is the screw stripped, but the piece just kind of moves around. So I think that might be the problem. With the problem identified, now it's time to replace the broken clips and move all of the properly functioning clips from the old cover into the new cover. And if we're going to change one of the covers, it makes sense to change both of them at this point, and then we'll have to get them back over on the drone. Getting close to the end, so these are the last couple of things. We just want to make sure everything's perfect and really good with the drone before we give it back to our customer. So we can turn that on. Let's just see what levels we're going to get here. Because it looks like we still have a leak. Darn it. Leaking from right. Where are we here? Yeah, it's leaking from right under there. Boom, there's the leak. Okay, so I left these off just so that we could check. There's no leaking here, so that's all good. And this side, there's no leaking, so that's all good. They're both working and spraying at a good rate. We can go in here and look at our sprinkler, and we can see our flow, rotational speed, centrifugal speed. So those are all looking really good. The only problem when the sprinklers are going, that leak accelerates. So that is a problem. So I'll turn the sprinklers off. So I did find a nut underneath right here. So I tightened that, and now this sprinkler is no longer leaking. The other sprinkler is not leaking. So if we're trying to find positives, we've gone from 2 leaks to 1 leak. I took the pump off and looked at the O-rings and readjusted just the way everything was fitting together and tightened it back up, and wouldn't you know it, problem solved, the leak is gone. Okay, we're here at our new office at the Gatsky Orchard, Landrone Agricultural Drone Supply. And we've completed the maintenance on the T40, and so before we return it to the customer, especially because I had those motors off, I just want to do a quick test flight. I want to check the motor data, and make sure everything's good to go before they fly it. So here we go. Well, as you can see, the drone flies really good. No problems. So that's job done. Okay, well, these are the last screws. We just got back from our test flight and everything flew the correct way. No problems, no error codes. So we've definitely got everything back together the way that we're supposed to. And really now it's just these foam motor covers are the last part to go back on. And then we've got to bring this drone back out to the customer and deliver it. All right. And in the end, we have 2 bowls and no leftover screws. If you have a DJI Agras drone and you need service, head over to Landrone CA and get in touch, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. Thanks.